to this video on the introduction to perspective. Today we're going to talk a little bit about perspective, drawing, and how we can use this to create more of a three-dimensional feel to a two-dimensional plane. So we're going to start by getting some supplies. We need pencils. I've got some colored markers, Sharpie markers here, and a ruler. Make sure you're using a ruler for all of your perspective drawings. All right, so we're going to get started with one-point perspective. One-point perspective is basically where you only have one vanishing point. Now, with this, you're just going to have all of your lines diagonally going straight to one point. The reason why we call it the vanishing point is because that is the farthest place that we can see things. So we're going to start with just a blank sheet of paper here. And I am going to have basically my ruler, and I'm going to go just pretty much right down the middle of the page. Make sure all of your lines are being drawn with the ruler. The ruler is going to be your biggest friend and ally. All right, here we go. First one, this is going to be the horizon line. And this is where the sky meets the ground. They kind of converge right here in the same spot. And right here, we're going to put our vanishing point right there in the middle of the page. And I'm just going to write VP for that. So on this point, we have our horizon line, and I'll put an X for that vanishing point, so that way we know everything is going right to there. And then from there, everything's going to be built on the outside, but the sides of the boxes that normally you would see would be going straight to that point. So we're going to start by just adding just three boxes to start with. So I'm going to start in the bottom right-hand corner, and I'm going to start with one box. Just kind of simple, just kind of a rectangular shape for right now. I'm going to try and make the top parallel and the bottom parallel to my horizon line. Now I'm not going to worry so much about all of the erasing up front because I can fix a lot of that when I get down a little farther. All right, so I've got one box there, and I'm going to put something a little bigger up here in the top left-hand corner. And we're going to notice a few things as we get going farther into this on how the perspective lines are going to engage on the picture plane. So I want you to make note of a few things as we're working, because all the lines are, yes, they're all going to the vanishing point, but some are going to look different compared to others, mostly in their relation to the horizon line. So here we go, box number 2, and then we're going to put over here just a box number 3. But I'm going to put this one kind of more in the middle area, probably on this horizon line basically. So that way it's going to be pretty darn close to that vanishing point. So this video is going to be like your little access point, so you can access the class stuff and, practice a little bit on your own. If you have some errors or some mistakes or just some questions that you feel like that are not getting answered, you can go back and rewatch the video several times. All right, so here we go. This is our wonderful picture plane. On our canvas, we actually have created 3 different shapes. And I'm going through and cleaning up all the pencil marks just on the edges. Notice how I erased this one in the middle. The reason why I did that was because these are solid shapes. We're not going to make them glass or transparent or try to confuse you with anything right now. I just want you guys to just try and just do some basic perspective from the start. All right, so if we've got a box here, all of the diagonal lines are going to be going here. So we need to make sure that we use this, here. All of these points here are going to be drawing straight to that. But notice we have this box in front, but let's not worry about that. Let's just go to box 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I'm just going to label these really quickly again, so that way we can kind of have these, and we'll just kind of work them from that way. All right, box 1. So all of the diagonal lines, I like to call them lines of perspective, they're going to be going towards this. So this is the vanishing point, so we got to have our ruler on there, and then the second spot the ruler needs to touch is actually the corner of the box. And I'm going to go across and kind of go through there. Some of these lines I'm going to erase a little bit later, okay? So don't worry about it if we go through stuff. Point, second point where my finger is. So we're just gonna go all the way across, boom, and there. And then third one, I'm gonna go here to that vanishing point. Okay, now, I know we've got a fourth point right here we could go, but if this was a solid piece, it would actually be behind the paper. You're basically behind this little rectangle, so you wouldn't even see that because you can't see this pencil right here because it's hidden behind this solid object. All right, so now we're gonna chop this thing down because I want this to not be a super long kind of box. I want it to be a little bit shorter. So I'm gonna go through now, and I'm just gonna cut a little section off. Notice this line right here. So I'm gonna make this line with green really fast just to help you guys out. Green line, scoot this back to about there, and that's where our green line is gonna continue. Notice it's not angling, it's not getting all wonky. You just go straight back so it's parallel to that vertical line. And there I go. So now I'm going to switch and use the pink, and I'm going to do the horizontal line. That's basically the top part of my box. So starting there, horizontal line, and now I'm just scooting this back, parallel to that line, but I'm going to stop right there where that green mark is. And the reason why is that line right there is going to tell me that that is basically where that top of that box should be cut off. And again, make sure this line and this ruler line are parallel. That's what's going to work for you. And now you can kind of see the box forming a little bit. So I'm going to go in and just clean these up a little bit with a little bit of the black marker. That's going to help me just clean these up. You don't have to use the markers if you don't want to. I'm not going to make you do that. It's not going to say you have to have colored. This is just so you can get kind of a feel for what's going to happen. All right, and see, notice I'm just going between these sections right here, just between those other parts, because I'm going to erase all that other information. I don't need it. It's not important. So all this here, that's not important because we can look right there. We've got a nice looking cube, right? Boom, we like that cube. That's part one of the whole series in basically doing construction of the perspective. Now, if I want to, I can go in here now and I can kind of erase some of this stuff because some of these lines might be confusing. And you're like, I'm not sure where that's going. So let's just get rid of those. So we got our lovely box one. Box one is great. You know what? I'm going to go a little fancy here because I like to make this a little more detailed just because I think it's going to have a little fun to it. Why not? Why not have a little fun every now and then with your drawings? And this is just basically a sketch, but we're adding more fun to it. So here we go. Number one. Now, we're going to hit number two. All right? Number two, first things first. Starting with pencil. Notice how these lines went to this vanishing point. These lines up here, they're also going to that vanishing point. It is 1 point perspective. 1 point perspective, absolutely crucial in getting this stuff set the right way. So starting in this corner, ruler touching that point, ruler's going down, going down, going down, going down, and bam, hitting that 1 point right there. One. Okay. Now this point here is going to run one to that point. So here we go. Get it lined up just right, and boom. Now, this point here is going to this little corner right there. Now, you might have noticed something a little different about this one, and that's to show you. This one down here had a lot of space between the horizon line and the box. So the lines are a little bigger. The closer you get to the horizon line, the tighter these lines are going to get. This shape is actually about to set right down on this horizon line right there. And the closer we get to the vanishing point, the same thing's going to happen to the sides. So let's go ahead and try. One more time. Vertical lines will be green. So I'm going to start this first one as green. And now we're going to take this from that horizon, that vertical line right there, scoot it back, scoot it back, scoot it back, scoot it back. I'm going to start probably right about there. I kind of like that. Now, this line's vertical. This line's also going to be vertical, but it's going to be parallel to that other vertical line. Bam. There I go. Let's grab pink, and we're going to hit the wonderful horizontal line. So make sure that I'm set up right. Horizontal line. And remember, we're going to go down to that other green line. Don't want to angle, don't want to get crazy with this ruler. Want to make sure that it stays as parallel as possible. And sometimes I have to kind of look at where my horizon line is because I might get off a little bit. That can happen. If it does, well, then it's going to throw our perspective off. We just have to be very, very careful with how we run things. That's how we draw, that's why we practice a lot. And there we go. And now we're going to fill in the other lines with black, just going between those two green lines. And just go in there. And then these two lines right there, make sure I'm getting those. And here we go. And now this number 2, I'm going to make this one a little fancier too. I think that would be kind of nice. Sometimes it's just kind of fun just to have a little artistic freedom in designing our boxes here. And again, this is just me having a little fun with that. And I'm going to get rid of some of these eraser marks right here. Eraser marks. Erasing the pencil marks. There we go. Clean that off. And we've got 2 really nice floating boxes. Now, we'll do something a little different on number 3. Number 3 is going to be going to the same vanishing points, but notice how it's on the line exactly. So if I have all of these points right here, going to that, I'm going to need to have extra lines. Uh-oh. Well, that's not going to work because they're going to go behind this. So that's going to be solid. So it looks like we're only going to have these lines right here. It's so close because it's right on that horizon line. It's basically telling us that there's no other lines you can put in there. Oops, went off just a little bit with the Sharpie. That's all right. It's just a sketch. Bob Ross used to say, happy accident. I always say, turn that mistake into a masterpiece. Nobody will ever know. It'll be super great. So I'm going to cut this line off right here because it's my that wonderful parallel line that's vertical. I'm going to stop it right here. And now we're not going to be able to see any of those other lines because, like I said, they're behind that shape. And as you remember in math, we were pushing our X, Y, and Z axis. And we're going to do box number 3. So now that we have 3 boxes, that we've done 3 different types of perspective. I mean, it's still the same perspective. We tried 3 different views of it because they're moved all over the place. Now we're going to have to, I want you to try and do something where we're going to overlap.